Stephanie Morris on day 1 of the Transformation Challenge. This is Stephanie Morris on day 90 of the Transformation Challenge. Her incredible journey, and we're going to share all of it with you starting right now. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Rebella from ProPhysique.com, and today I have a special guest, Stephanie Morris, who was our second place winner. This was her transformation, her incredible before and after right here. Now, most transformation challenges, she would have been the champion, taking home all the cash. However, I already did a video with Drea Durbiano, and this was her before, and this was her after. Just incredible. We have been blessed with such amazing entries into our transformation challenge, and so I want to encourage you guys to go ahead and enter our next one. The entries are open. I'm going to put it in the description. I'm going to put it as the first comment. We already have the nutrition plans, the training plans, the Facebook group set up for you guys to join. It's open worldwide. It's $50 entry fee. We're also giving you guys a discounted price if you would like guided coaching as an option. But let's get right into Stephanie's video, because I want to share her journey with you to inspire you to change your life for the better. Let's go. All right, everybody. So welcome to today's video where we're going to talk with Stephanie Morris about her transformation. Quite stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think, well, first thing, I always like to get a little bit of backstory on you. So how did you find the 90-day challenge that we do?
Yeah. So years and years ago, I was started following a vegan bodybuilder who then worked with you as a coach. And so then I started following you on YouTube and always watched you during cardio types of things. And I just realized that I think I had joined the 90-day challenge, either the first one or the second one, and didn't finish. And so had been kind of thinking about doing it again and again and again. And then I finally decided to do it again, especially the guided coaching was what kind of put me over the edge for this last one.
I think what's interesting to me is that that's a story I hear quite a bit. The Drea who won this year, this was her third time going through the challenge, and she had never actually completed it. It was like, it's like it takes a couple times to get the momentum to just, go all in. So, and I think honestly, with you getting second place, any other year you might have won, but our winner was it was overwhelming.
It was, as soon as I saw her picture, I was like, well, first place isn't going to happen.
I mean, we have to do our research, and make sure, we have to dig in and make sure that everything's legitimate. And it was, and we were all like, wow, but yours was very, very similar, same type of situation, and I think very few people understand what can happen for 12 weeks. It's a long time. 90 days. 90 days, that's not that long. It's a long time.
Yes.
So I'd love to discuss kind of what was the impetus behind doing the challenges?
Well, I feel like I've been wanting to lose weight or just kind of have a better body composition for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
I mean, really, and I did a lot up and down. I didn't do a whole lot of, never did starvation diets or anything like that, but I've been 5 years ago, I was in the best shape of my life ever, and then gained it back immediately. That was for another type of challenge. And it was
Sure.
I started binging again. And so I recently, over the past couple of years, I've been doing a lot of mindset work as far as just why haven't I been able to do this? And for what, what's going on with my self-worth, self-esteem, etc. I also my daughter and I went to London, and they have a very different view of sizes of bodies and healthy weight and what we eat and exercise, all that kind of stuff out there. And I felt really big, and I felt really ashamed. And so that helped it was a little bit of a catalyst, as well as, my daughter's 20 now. And while I'm hoping not to have any grandbabies anytime soon, I also recognize that I want to be a grandparent that can run around with my grandkids and be silly and play on the playground and do all of those things. So it was this kind of combination of health stuff, as well as aesthetic stuff, as well as all sorts of other things.
Quick takeaway while I interrupt Stephanie. I just want to remind you guys that entries are open for this year's Summer Sculpt Transformation Challenge. It includes nutrition plans, it includes training plans, it includes a private group where we're going to do weekly videos with all of our coaches. We're going to answer your questions. It creates a great community. It is open worldwide. We've had international winners from Australia, from the United Kingdom. We're here to help you guys reach your goals. So click the link in the description or in the first comment below, and also enjoy the rest of this video. So you have some nice artwork behind you. Is that your 20-year-old daughter's from when she was a kid?
No, it isn't. It was from a it's I don't remember the name of the company. They do, I don't know, it's just like private artists that do stuff.
Oh, okay.
I work as a therapist, and so
Gotcha.
their one is like, I'm happy you exist, and the other is behind your mind.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I always find it. So you're a therapist.
Yeah.
I always, because this is a correlation I've made over the years, because I've, as a coach, I've coached people in all walks of life.
Mhm.
And the people that I've coached that were therapists were some of the people that were hardest on themselves and the most difficult to get through to.
Yeah.
Most like type A perfectionists almost.
To some degree. It's kind of like, I think that, you hear a lot of times that doctors make the worst patients. I think it's some of it's that kind of thing. I don't know. I think a lot of it is, well, I've made a lot of effort to walk my talk, right? And so I've talked with a lot of clients about self-worth and taking care of yourself and all that kind of stuff, and kind of realize like, well, crap, I haven't really been doing that myself. So that's part of it. It's like, I want to model the behavior and that people to do.
Yeah, mechanics car is always broken because they're always fixing other people's cars. So
Exactly.
that actually makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about I want to talk about all the numbers, because I think what adds a lot of value to the people listening is like, okay, how did you make this transformation in 90 days and what were the specifics of it? So how old are you?
I am 44. I'll be 45 this summer.
So first of all, the champion was 42, right? So
I know. I saw that.
Great ages. And I think for our men, every champion we've had has been over 50, except for this year. So, right. So like age, literally just a number.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. So roughly what was your ballpark starting weight and kind of ending weights?
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I know my ending weight was 165. I want to say my starting was 197-ish.
Yeah.
Right around there.
32 pounds. That is just, I mean, honestly, that's probably too much weight to lose in a 90-day period for longevity's sake. But obviously, how, you sound great. How has your experience since the challenge ended a couple of weeks ago been?
Good. Well, I'm continuing on. I took a diet break. And so I decided to keep my coach beyond the challenge, because it was important to me.
Great experience.
Yeah. And I just really wanted to finish this out and get to my goal and stay there. And
so did you use a guided coaching approach with ProPhysique? Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so, because what I realized from last time I did something like this 5 years ago is part of my failure was not doing any mindset work. And part of my failure was not having a plan for reversing and not having accountability for reversing. Because I kind of knew what to do, but I just didn't do it. And so that's why I decided to keep him on as a coach. And so I did a diet break for 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. And then now I am back on track.
I love it. So it's the same story with the champion. She, the challenge ended. She's continued to lose weight through no real attempt to do so. It's just been, she created an approach. And I think that's the reason I request from you guys when we choose the winners is the essay, because I never wanted this to be just a who can lose the most weight 90 days challenge at all cost. I wanted it to be like, what lessons are you learning? Because for me, that was the real value when I first did my first. I thought it was going to be getting lean and getting on a bodybuilding stage and getting a trophy. The real value was making changes to my life, putting myself first, right? Like just being accountable to myself, which it sounds kind of cheesy or, but it's so true how much we do for other people or how much we don't do because we're worried how it's going to impact other people, that when you start to make these decisions for yourself, man, it's just so powerful. You just learn how much you can change. So yeah, that's why I love hearing these stories. So 32 pounds is, we're talking about 10 pounds a month. That's about Gosh, 3 pounds a week. I mean, that is just remarkable. So let's talk about your lifestyle prior to starting and your
Mhm.
lifestyle after, because there has to be some pretty significant changes.
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I had lots of ups and downs, and realized recently that kind of diet and fitness has been the one thing that I've always enjoyed studying and learning about, and I like all the science behind it, all of that. It was more so the implementation, actually just doing it was the hard
Yep.
part. And so, as well as just lots of just internal barriers. And so I had a long history of binge eating disorder. And so didn't even realize it until I was proofreading a book about eating disorders, and I started reading about binge eating, and I was like, this is me. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing, et cetera.
That's
And so,
hilarious.
um, so I would, at the worst, I would sit and I would have, Ben and Jerry's. There's this particular flavor of Ben and Jerry's that was just my favorite. And
World
I would,
peace.
no, it was Peanut Butter Worlds, only sold at
Okay.
Target.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and so, but I would sit and I would have it. And what would be worse if I would see it on sale, because then I would get multiple. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I can just have like, it's just there. I can have a couple a week. No, it's like if it was in my freezer, I would eat it, or, cupboards, fridge, whatever. And so I would sit. I mean, I never like tracked, obviously, when I was in like the deep binging. But I mean, my guess, knowing what I know about calories, it was probably 5,000, 6,000, because each pint had like 1,300 calories in it,
Yeah. Yeah.
70 or something, right? So it's like you have 2 or 3 pints of those in addition to food that
Yeah.
could easily be on a whole pizza, like all that kind of stuff. And just really just kind of, I would want, I'd walk my dog, but outside of that, a lot of sitting around on the
Yeah.
couch.
It's a slippery slope. I think, even I noticed in my late 20s, the job became more sedentary, the going out with my friends became more frequent, and then you see yourself in a photograph one day and you're like, whose face is that? Like
Mhm.
that's got to be a bad camera, right? And so there's usually an aha moment, and you said yours was kind of like being in London, huh? Just kind of going, this isn't
That was one of the things. I live in LA, and I sat in the audience for Dancing with the Stars, and all the chairs this this wide and very close together, and I was squished. And so it was just, it was that, and like I said, the health stuff, because I just, I'd see some things with the people around me, and I'm like, I don't want to live that life of not being able to keep up
right.
with everything, or just, getting exhausted going up a flight of stairs, that, so a lot of it, so it was some of the aesthetic stuff and just wanting to fit into more of my clothes, etc. It was also health stuff, because I heard a term recently. It's not lifespan, but like looking at health span. So
Yeah.
not just how long can you live, but how long can you healthfully live. And that's what I want to
Yeah.
focus.
There's a guy, I think, in LA, and he's trying to figure out how to live to be 200. And I watched a documentary on him. Seems like Brian Johnson. I don't know if you've seen this guy. He's doing everything you can to extend life. And what's funny is like he's actually not living life, because all he does all day is, you know, work out, red light therapy, cold plunges, eat certain foods, takes 90 pills a day, and his entire day is about improving his longevity. And it's like, well, but you're not even living. You're just gonna,
Right.
after 100 years of life, you're gonna realize you just missed out on all the fun stuff.
Exactly.
So other than getting ice cream out of your house, what was that? What was that? Kicking off the 90 days, were you using the diets we provided? Well, you had a coach, but
Yeah.
um, was there some more meal prep involved? Did you get the food scale consistent? Like, what was that like shift for you like?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I had done macro counting before, so I knew it. And I
Perfect.
already had a scale, all of that kind of stuff. And I had a couple of recipes. I don't like to cook. Like, kitchen is not my friend, but I had a couple easy recipes that I knew were high
Sure.
protein. And so what I did was I just stuck really with the same breakfast, same lunch, same dinner, with little tweaks here and there, depending if my macros changed. But outside
Mhm.
of that, I just stuck with the same thing. And I honestly didn't get bored with it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I didn't
think
get with it.
you're the therapist. You probably know this more than most, but I just find we are creatures of habit, and once we find something we like, we can do it for a
Yeah.
long time without changing.
Mhm.
So if you make that habit something that works with you towards your goal, it's going to work. I think a lot of people talk about the analogy of we don't stress about brushing our teeth, we just brush our damn teeth. And it's the same thing with like the gym.
you know, I don't worry about when I'm going to the gym because I'm just going. It's not a,
Right.
like it's just a part of my daily routine. And
Mhm.
honestly, going on vacation, and luckily for me, not luckily, but like, me and my wife are married for a reason. Like we both, when we go on vacation to Cancun or wherever we go, and we're gonna fit in a little 45-minute little workout just to get through the day because it just doesn't feel like a good day for us if we don't do that. So setting up these habits, like you said, just kind of eating the same things, man, I make some funny YouTube videos with titles like, fat loss is simple, but
Mhm.
when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, you can make it simple.
I was
Um,
gonna say, I don't think it's complicated necessarily. It can
right.
be difficult, but it's not complicated,
Sure.
right? So I think that the more you uncomplicate it, the more you simplify it by knowing exactly what you're going to eat, as well as the
Yeah.
meal prep and all that kind of stuff. It's just that it was one thing I was thinking about because, like, with having a coach, I really generally knew what macros to do, workouts, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I knew it, but there is such a thing as decision fatigue, right? And
For
so
sure.
by me just taking out having to think about, do I need to adjust my macros? Do I need to decide what to eat? All that kind of stuff. It made it easier. It didn't make it easy, but it made it easier.
Yeah, the decision fatigue thing and binge eating in particular, what I've noticed is that like the decision fatigue usually sets in the evening when decisions around food are going to happen and stress is high. And so that's usually when most people are going to just break and then
Mhm.
have an issue. So let's talk a little bit about your fitness routine because you sound like a busy person. So how did you set up your like stepping, cardio? What were you doing for activity?
Yeah. So my coach he gave me a step goal as well as a cardio goal separate from each other. And so I just did that. And each day was kind of different. So fortunately, as a therapist, I work for myself. So I get to set up my schedule. And so like Tuesdays are kind of a split shift. So I'd have some clients in the morning, go to the gym in the middle, have some clients in the afternoon, evening. And so in other days, it would be flip flopped or whatever. So it's kind of all
Sure.
over the place. So it varied a little bit, which is good and bad. I mean, it's just, but it, like you said, I just did it. It
Yeah.
was just I had it in my like, this is what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do it. Not that it was always easy, but that's
So
kind of
let's talk a little bit about the adjustments along the way. So what was the most like aggressive you were with calories and cardio in this process?
I knew you were going to ask me that, so I had kept my spreadsheet up so I could
Well,
look
it's
at it.
so like people looking at your pictures before and after, right? They're
Yeah,
like, okay, did she just eat broccoli for 9 weeks,
not at
12
all.
weeks? And so I think that's the misconception because if you watch a show like Biggest Loser,
Mhm.
the extreme measures they take on that show with like 8 hours of cardio and fasting and all these things, people think that that's what it takes, but it's really not the case. Our bodies
Yeah,
don't want to be heavy, so if you just
I know.
treat it right, it comes down. So I'm glad you did the
Yeah.
research.
Yeah, so it looks like so early on, my calories were 15 to 1700, and they didn't get below 1396
Okay,
was like the lowest it went.
so still at 1400 calories. And then
Mhm.
now, what kind of resistance training? How many days a week are you in there lifting weights? Is that something you were doing?
Yeah, about 5 days a week.
Nice.
I just did I decided my gym is really busy, kind of all it's LA, right? So it's busy all the time. And so the way I just set it up was like a lower body, upper body. And so I would just go, I would see what was available. I
Yeah.
would jump on it, see what else was available. I would jump on it because I found what again, it kind of got back to that simplifying thing. If I felt like I had to be doing this exercise and then this exercise and then this exercise, and then I'd go and it's packed and I can't get into anything, I would say, screw it, I'm done. And it would just
Yeah.
tick me off and I was out. So I wanted to make it as easy as possible to still get a good workout in without having to be really rigid.
Yeah, I do the same thing when the gym's busy. I go, okay, I need to do something in the vein of a vertical pull, but I could either do assisted pull-ups, lat pull, and I'll just kind of have my eye out. And if I see something open, I jump over there.
Right. Mhm.
But yeah, you obviously have to call audibles in the gym when it's busy. What
Yeah.
part of LA do you live in?
I am kind of right where Burbank and Hollywood meet, right by Universal Studios.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that you're in LA because some people are like, oh, I live in LA. I'm like, where? Oh, Manhattan Beach. I'm like, that's
Yeah, no, no,
yeah.
I'm in LA. The Hollywood Hills are right. in front
Yeah,
of me.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm in the
very cool.
valley.
So, yeah, so I love when resistance training is added because I think one of the fears that people have is like, well, I'm not actually going to lose weight, but the muscle that you add is going to have a huge impact on the way you look and feel. So even if your weight doesn't drop, but you gain muscle and lose body fat, you're going to be a different human being. Were you
Absolutely.
training before the challenge?
Just very off and on. So
Yeah.
right before the challenge, I hadn't been. I definitely was kind of going in spurts. Like it's again, it was one of those things that I had a lot of interest in, but keeping consistent with it
Yeah.
just wasn't a strong suit of mine. But I like being strong. Like that's
Yeah.
part of my thing too. I like feeling like I can lift my couch if I need to, like that kind of stuff.
Always I laugh when I get on an airplane and I see somebody that can't put their bag over their head to put
Right.
it in. And I'm just like,
Yes.
that's like 40 pounds, man. Like,
Yeah, no. Well,
but
I'll see it if I because I've got cats. And so if I buy cat litter at the store and the cashier can't
yeah.
scan it, it's tough. Yeah.
Well, if you watch my stories, we have 3 cats.
Yeah, me too. Yep. Cat,
You
two
know
cats.
what? Do you know what it's called if you have 3 cats?
What?
A clouder.
A cloud. Okay.
I don't know why this,
Good to know.
they're not, like it's not a herd, it's a clouder. I don't know why I just find that term to be very funny. Clouder. Because
It's funny.
my wife's a crazy cat lady. Like
Yeah.
3 is like, she's always like, can we get more? I'm like, no.
Oh God, no. I know three is too many. I'm over having 3 cats, but I still love them.
Well, you live in LA, so I can't imagine you have 12,000 square feet. I mean, it's good.
No, certainly don't. Got to wash the litter boxes.
Yeah. So the LA thing, man, it's just such a unique lifestyle out there. But I mean, it's an outdoor lifestyle. The weather's kind of good year round. So do you use what were you doing for your step counts? Were you going outside and walking?
Both. I was doing a treadmill as well as going outside.
You have a treadmill
So
at home or the gym?
I got a COVID treadmill a couple
Nice.
years ago because I worked. So I moved here from Minnesota 2 years ago, and so I was working at a school at that time, and so it was just a whole lot of sitting, and so I got a COVID treadmill, and it's like a good one. So I did that as well as I would sometimes go to the gym, as well as I'd sometimes go outside. So it varied. It was way easier here in December than in Minnesota in December to get my
Oh
steps.
gosh. Yeah. No, I when people ask me, like, because I'm 47 now and I'm still doing this, having a treadmill at my house has been literally a game changer because the threshold for me to go do some cardio in Florida when it's 100 degrees or raining all the time, or I have to drive to the gym and then come home and take a shower, I can literally just walk in my garage, go do my cardio, and there's no barrier to entry. I literally just wake up. I keep shoes and socks by my treadmill, so
Mhm.
I don't even have to like stumble for them in the morning.
Yep.
So yeah, so
Yep.
I mean, these are genius things. Now, what about meal prepping? You said you're not a big meal prepper. So how did you get consistent with food? Did you just literally just have protein powder 3 times a day?
No, sometimes twice, but not usually. So I'm vegan. So I will say that when the carbs got lower, I definitely did rely on it for sure more
Yeah.
than I did otherwise.
Because your
But
protein sources are like seitan and tofu, or what'd you use?
yeah, both seitan and tofu. I did tofurkey like slices, deli
Yeah.
slices, sometimes too. But obviously it's not ideal to have that all the time. Same thing with protein powder, but I feel like it's for those, few months, it's not a huge deal to add in another scoop of protein powder, even though it's not a whole food, etc. So I do smoothies every morning, protein smoothies every morning. Afternoon during the challenge, it was basically just kind of tofurkey and maybe a veggie or two or something like that. Right now I'm doing like some protein bagels with a couple
Oh, my
slices.
wife just found some vegan protein bagels. They're like 24 grams of protein.
Yeah, I don't remember. These are homemade from a cookbook, a new cookbook.
Okay.
So I have been doing that. It's super simple. And then I do in the evenings kind of a coleslaw salad with I found a poppy seed dressing that's really low calorie. So I did that with some seitan that I turn into croutons in the air fryer, and then some almonds. And
Love it.
so that's what I had every single time.
Air fryer and smoker are game changers. Like anything you
Oh,
can
yeah.
just put your food in there, let it go and be done.
Easy peasy.
Game changer. And I think, especially now with the rising food costs, I can't even imagine what things are like in LA because in Florida they've gone up significantly.
Yeah.
So anytime you can save a couple dollars, and
Mhm.
guess what? You're healthier. You're better off
Right.
for it.
Exactly.
So what are some of your, obviously you had some goals for this. Did you interact in the group quite a bit on Facebook?
I didn't interact a ton. Kept it I kept it up. I didn't have like notifications on, but I would see it if I would scroll, etc. I'm just not a big group poster type of
Sure.
person. I did find it helpful to kind of as a reminder to kind of have it going through there. I will say, my again, getting back to mindset, sometimes I would see people's pictures and be like, I don't know why I'm bothering. Like, I'm not making any progress compared to all of these other people. And so I would kind of get down on myself seeing some other people's progress. It's getting to that comparisonitis kind
Sure.
of sometimes. And
Oh, I
so,
like that. I've never heard that. Comparisonitis.
yep.
I'm
And
stealing
so,
that.
yeah. So, so sometimes I would have to kind of mute it for just a little bit until I would kind of reset my mind a little bit and then get back into it.
Did you watch any of the like the weekly coaching
I
Q&As?
did.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do that. Sometimes I would do that during cardio,
Yeah.
just to kind of have something,
Yeah. Well,
something.
guess what? Some people are going to be watching this video during their cardio
There you go.
because they're going to be like, how did Stephanie lose 32 pounds and go from this to this? Like the transformation is just remarkable. So I'm assuming some new clothes.
Mhm.
I'm assuming some people in your life started saying, "Hey, what's going on with you?" Like, did you start getting like how soon until people started noticing?
So it's interesting. I don't in LA, I don't have a huge circle yet. 'Cause, like I just moved here a year and a half,
Yeah.
2 years ago. And so I don't have a big circle. My daughter would kind of notice a little bit here and there, but she has a new boyfriend. So she was distracted by him hanging out with him all the time. So occasionally I would see people and for my therapy practice, I only do virtual. And so
Yeah.
people would see me from here to here, right? So I didn't have a whole lot of that, which was actually okay because I found that one of my mindset things with kind of almost like why I didn't want to lose weight, like one of those subconscious belief things was that I didn't want a whole lot of attention. And so it actually kind of helped me to just kind of be doing my thing and not have
Interesting.
a lot of people talking about it. Mhm.
It's interesting that the personality differences between, you know, different people that are kind of going through weight loss because some people, for them, that's one of the big reasons is to go in the gym and see somebody and for them to say like, what are you doing differently? You look
Yeah.
amazing. So, and I can attest, my first couple times dieting, that's honestly, I would be having a bad day and someone would be like, man, what are you doing? You look amazing. And I'm like, wait a second. I do look amazing. I've
Yeah.
lost all this weight, but you just get caught in your like day to day. Oh, I didn't drop a pound. And the forest for the trees analogy, but you just literally get so caught up. And sometimes that stuff can help. So I think it's great that you're so self-sufficient. I mean, it's just, self-driven and self-motivated to just kind of do it for yourself because we live in an age, and I worry about my kids with this, where it's like, it's about putting out something and getting something back from strangers on the internet, right?
Right.
Whether it's a different social media platform or it's the attention that you're gathering, because a lot of people get into either lifting weights to look good, to get the attention. And I probably was narcissistically interested in that initially, right? But then I
Mhm.
realized that I actually enjoyed it more for me and I could care less what people think anymore, right? But that's being 47. So
Yeah.
now what are your long-term goals with this? Like have you talked with your coach about okay, weight or, some specific things of that nature?
Yeah. So my goal is obviously I don't know the exact weight because I recognize that body composition isn't always dependent on weight. But I'm thinking around 140-ish. And I'm around 160 right now. So I'm thinking that's kind of what I want to get to. I want to fit into my skinny clothes that that I have from several years ago. And I want to be able to do at least 5 pull-ups. So
Wow.
those are
I
my
love
kind
those goals. Those are awesome. And so that'd be about what, 50 pounds total weight loss?
Yeah, more than that, probably closer to 60, yeah.
Oh, were you over 200 at one point? I think you said.
I was at like 197, so I wanna get down to
Yeah.
140, so like those
Oh,
57.
wow, you're right. So that's more than 25% of your body weight.
Yeah, crazy.
That's awesome. Congrats, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Well,
Appreciate
listen,
it.
I'm very proud of you. Congratulations on second place. But honestly, who cares what you placed? Because you completely changed everything. I'll hope that you'll be a part of our next group, even if you don't love going in there. Maybe you could just give some advice when people have questions, because
Absolutely.
I think the value of going through it, I think the thing I worry about with everyone that enters the challenge is like everyone has a great first week and probably a great second week. It's that 3, 4, 5 week period where people either fall off or they get energized and push through. But I worry about that, like first 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks, not so tough. Those middle
I
weeks,
agree.
yeah, it's, it's, I call it the mire of dieting. Like, because at the beginning it's exciting, right? The scale's changing, your clothes are fitting differently, but there's definitely, no matter who you are, this period of just like not a lot's happening, but it's happening. But you just, even if the scale's down, you don't look terribly different, right? And then
Right.
you'll have a weird weigh-in, like you're stressed, didn't get a lot of sleep, you're up 4 pounds, and you're like, what? I'm back to where I was 2 weeks ago. So like, yeah, it's I guess being a therapist, you probably understand better than most the mindset that goes into the physiology changing, your physique changing.
It's huge. There's just so much that goes into it. And I really think I know you've talked about it in some of your videos, but just that I really think that the progress for sticking with it is way more in the head than in the
Yeah,
body.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm struggling with
So
that right now. I've
yeah,
been
yeah,
dieting
I
for a
bet,
while,
I
and it's
bet.
like, I go through these ups and downs, and I just lean on my experiences in the past. Like, luckily, I've done this so many times that I'll have a thought and it'll just be fleeting. But used to be, and I hear that a lot from people that enter these challenges because, like you said, this was your, not your first attempt, and the last couple people that I've spoken to on these interviews have all had the same story. No, it wasn't my first attempt at this challenge. I'd done a couple, dropped out, but this one I was more prepared for. This one I was more prepared to be either a little more flexible or a little nicer to myself.
Yeah. I just think it's so important to keep trying because I think about I used to smoke cigarettes, started smoking when I was 14 and tried to quit and wanted to quit. I don't even know how many times, so many
Right.
times. And I just tried again and again and again and it finally stuck. And so
Yeah,
I just equate it to it's the same kind of thing. You just got to keep trying.
that's awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. I'm excited to share your story with everyone else. And do you have any, well, do you want to share? Do you have some social media stuff? Because I don't know if we've been promoting that at all, or is there anything you want to share?
I just created a brand new IG because I wanted to try to keep myself accountable by posting and allowing myself to be a little bit more social and relying on other people a little bit more because I think that's one of the weaknesses of mine. And so I created a new Instagram called Finding Strength Together. So
Nice.
don't be alarmed by no followers or anything because that's why. But yeah, so I want to try to build a little bit to both help others and have them help me by
I mean,
seeing.
honestly, the thing that works on social media platforms is when you show results and just are vulnerable. So if you just show who
Yeah.
you are and talk about, and the other thing I love about social media, and I don't know if people utilize this enough, but the
Mhm.
block and remove features, like
Yeah.
I don't put up with negativity in my comments and I don't talk about it. But if you are a jerk in my comments on my YouTube or my Instagram, sorry, you don't exist to me. You
Right.
don't matter. So
I agree.
I know the anonymity of the internet
Anonymity.
can make it like people are a little more bold or a little more,
Mhm.
um, but I just think back to the kid that I was at a certain point in my life. I would have been the idiot leaving weird comments on YouTube too. Like, it's just a phase of life. And now I look back and think, man, you were just an idiot. And that's literally what I think when I see something negative. So I try to encourage people because there are people that need the message and that can benefit from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remind myself of. Don't worry about the keyboard
Yeah.
warriors, just kind of
Yeah.
yourself out there because I think that vulnerability is a huge piece because there's a lot of shame attached to being overweight. And so that's one of my self-imposed goals is to be more vulnerable. So
Yeah. I'll be honest. 12% body fat for me is a fat, like on the internet. People go, oh, you're fat. I'm like, wow. Like, just because I'm not
crazy.
shredded anymore. So like that's a slippery slope for anybody, right?
Yeah,
So good on you for that. And
thank you.
congratulations on your top 2 placing. And hopefully one of these days we cross paths in person. It'd be cool to meet you. I haven't been out to LA in a while, maybe since COVID. I think I was there. Yeah, I was there for the day that Kobe Bryant died. That was the
Oh
last
my
time
God.
I was in LA.
Yeah, I bet that was
There
wild.
was there was a
I wasn't out here yet by then,
I
but
was
yeah,
in downtown LA. It was a fitness expo weekend and it was the Grammys or the Emmys. So it was like hundreds
craziness.
of thousands of people descending upon where we were,
Yeah.
all while COVID was happening.
Oh my God.
It was like
Crazy.
right before COVID like locked down. So it was probably what they call a super spreader,
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Wild. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I would
that's-
love to meet you. That'd be
And I
great.
was loving LA. Like I was like the LA Live area downtown that where they were changing.
Yeah.
You know, I love the beaches, the Redondos, the Manhattans, Santa Monica. I'm a big volleyball player, love
Yeah.
volleyball. So like I love LA, but it's like, man, you've got to be prepared for the traffic, like the cost of things. Like I got to have a real reason to go out there. My best
Yeah.
friend that lived there moved. So
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I'll be here forever by any means, but it's fun and it's a cool. I like it way more than I thought I would, and I don't
That's
miss
an
winter.
amazing place.
I don't anticipate going back to a really cold winter place.
yeah, it
again.
is an amazing place for sure. There is a lot of
It is.
perks, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a great Tuesday.
You too. Bye bye.